Have you ever stopped to think about who's really building the world's vehicles these days? Well, there's a manufacturing giant that's been quietly, but very, very quickly, reshaping the entire global auto market. And the numbers, well, the numbers are just staggering. Take a look at this. In just the last financial year, India's auto industry cranked out almost 31 million vehicles. Now that is not just a big number, it's an all-time high, and it's a huge signal that a major shift is happening in global manufacturing right now.
So, to really get what's going on here, first, we're going to wrap our heads around the massive scale of this thing. Then, we'll break down that 30 million number to see what's actually being built. After that, we'll check out the booming export market, dig into a really interesting price puzzle here in the US, and finally, we'll ask the big question: is India the next major player on the world's automotive stage?
All right, let's start by trying to put that 30.96 million figure in perspective. A number that big, a record breaker, isn't just about making a lot of cars. It really speaks volumes about India's industrial muscle and its growing role as a leader on the global stage.
And you know, this wasn't some fluke or a one-off good year. The industry produced over 1.5 million more vehicles than it did just the year before. That's not just growth, that is some serious acceleration.
So what's actually inside this 30 million vehicle mountain? To really get the story, you got to break it down, right? We need to see which types of vehicles are fueling this incredible boom, both for people at home and for customers all over the world. Okay, so this data shows us the 4 key categories. You've got your commercial vehicles, 3-wheelers, passenger cars, and of course, 2-wheelers. And what's really important here is that it also splits everything between what's sold in India and what gets shipped abroad. But here is the single most mind-blowing stat of them all. Look at that chart. 2-wheelers. They make up a colossal 77% of every single vehicle produced. You know, we hear about cars all the time, but the reality is it's the motorcycles and scooters, perfect for navigating crowded cities, that truly define the insane scale of India's auto industry.
And it's not like it's just one area doing well. The success is everywhere. Passenger vehicles hit a new record with 4.3 million sold at home. And get this, SUVs made up a whopping 65% of those sales. Exports of commercial trucks and vans up over 20%. Even those iconic 3-wheelers are back and producing more than they did before the pandemic. And looking to the future, electric 2-wheelers just crossed that 6% sales mark for the first time ever. That's a huge milestone.
But you see, this whole production boom is absolutely not just a domestic story. India is quickly, very quickly, becoming a go-to supplier for the rest of the planet. So let's talk about that global export engine. Yeah, out of that nearly 31 million total, 5.36 million vehicles were shipped overseas. That is a 19% jump in just 1 year. And it's being fueled by huge demand in places like Latin America and recovering economies across Africa. And we're not talking about just any old exports either. These are really popular, well-known models. You've got Maruti Suzuki sending its Fronx and Jimny SUVs to incredibly demanding markets, places like Japan, Australia, and Mexico. At the same time, Hyundai's i10 and Verna are also hitting major export milestones.
You know, this quote really nails it. This whole export boom isn't just about cranking out huge numbers. It's proof. It's a testament to better manufacturing quality and the ability to build affordable, reliable vehicles that people all over the world actually want to buy.
Okay, so you've got this combination of high quality and massive scale. And that brings up a really fascinating question. Could India's major cost advantage be the key to shaking up one of the most expensive car markets in the world? Let's dive into the American price puzzle.
This right here is just stunning. As of March 2025, the average price for a new vehicle here in the US was more than $47,000. Now compare that to a top-of-the-line SUV made in India, which comes in under $30,000. That is a price gap of over $17,000. Just let that sink in.
So you just have to ask yourself, right? When you've got a market with prices this high and a global competitor with costs this low, isn't that just the perfect recipe for a massive disruption?
So what does it all mean? Where is all of this heading? Let's take a look at the road ahead and see what could really launch Indian automakers from being a regional powerhouse to a true global player. Well, there's a lot of optimism. People are expecting things like interest rate cuts and tax reforms to keep domestic sales humming. But the real golden ticket for the international stage? That's in negotiating free trade deals with places like the UK and the EU.
Of course, it's not that simple. I mean, there are huge hurdles to clear, like meeting incredibly strict safety standards and, maybe toughest of all, building brand trust from square one.
And look, this isn't just some what-if theory. It's already happening. Take a look at the motorcycle world. India's Royal Enfield is already here in the US, competing hard on price. Their Shotgun 650 bike costs about $7,000, which is a full $3,000 less than a comparable Harley-Davidson Nightster. That price disruption we were talking about? This is what it looks like in real time.
So, when you put it all together, record production, skyrocketing exports, and a massive price advantage, all the pieces seem to be falling into place. And it leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to think about. Is it possible that your next car will be made in India?